gang, hi, it's Natty Estes, and here it is again, Monday night, and we all love Monday nights, don't we? Because this is when the Total Inspired Living Tribe comes to you live, and every week we try and bring you the motivation, the inspiration that you so desperately need to get yourself through another week. Whether it's some little thing or some big thing, I hope that you hear it coming from us tonight, whatever it is that helps you carry on with your journey, because I'm here to tell you, do not give up. Don't ever, ever, ever give in to that. You might have the odd bad day, you might have the odd bad hour, you might have the odd bad week, but don't give up. Just refresh yourself, come to these hangouts, and that's what we hope to do for you. And of course, as I always say, tonight will not be any different. But before we do that, I do want to say hi to everyone that's here tonight. I also want to say hi if you're new. And if you are new, please introduce yourself in the chat roll, because we would love to introduce ourselves to you. Don't be afraid to suggest things that you would like to hear us talk about, because we're always looking for new ideas. We'd love to bring new information to you. But tonight we're going to stress on something that we all feel, every single one of us on this panel, is it's so tremendously important for your business, no matter what business you're in, and that is live events. And are you attending? Now, our business that we're all in is called Empower Network, and it's having one of its national events on the 24th, 25th, 26th of April in Nashville, which is only about 10 days away, 11 days away. And it will be mind-rocketing amazing. I mean, it's just always is. All the events are so good, and I've been around long enough in this business, network marketing business, MLM, and I've been to some events, and I have never experienced anything like it when we go to these events of Empower Network. There's tons and tons and tons of 6- and 7-figure earners that are around to just, they're able to talk to you. They're there to, you can ask them a question. You know, what little advice they can give you in a short period of time, they're glad to do it. If you want to take a picture with them, they're glad to do it. They're just so amazingly sociable. And I have other events that I can compare to, so I know what I'm talking about. And I don't want to ever badmouth other events. All I want to stress to you is that when you go to an Empower event, you are going to get 150% from every single person that is on stage talking to you, and every single person that is off stage that is around to talk to you. They're just, it's nothing like it. There's nothing like it. It's just a great big dang old family. And we're not dysfunctional, although we are independently dysfunctional, maybe some of us, but as a whole we're pretty darn awesome. So, but I want to talk to you a bit about a breakthrough, my breakthrough, because I had attended different events at Empower Network, and I had always come away with something. In fact, I think I come away from every single speaker. I come away with something every time. I have books, journals full of notes that I take there. Amazing. They're uncashed checks, as they like to say, because they're so knowledgeable, the wealth that I gained from these events. But there's one event and one particular moment that sticks out in my mind. And that was a little over a year ago. They had an event in Miami, and it was held at the Hyatt Regency downtown in Miami. And the room that we were in was absolutely amazing. It was semicircled, and the seats were sloped down like you see in the theaters, and the stage was quite large, and it was just, it was packed full of people from all over the world. It was, the Portuguese had their group up in one corner, and some of the Canadians had their group in another corner, and then there was Americans, but there was people there from, Mexico, South America, all over the world. They were there. And we had the privilege on the Sunday afternoon of having a speaker talk to us, and it was Dave Sharp, who at that time was the co-owner of Empower Network. And he started out basically just the whole theme was, he told his story, and he told how he had been able to overcome everything, being a drug addict and getting clean, and coming up with this company in partnership with David Wood that so many people have now benefited from. But his point to us was, it wasn't talking about him, it was talking about us. And he was coming on to us about how you can do this no matter what obstacle, what roadblock, what you think is stopping you. It's not going to stop you. You can get over this. There's every single mountain that you've got to go up, you can get up it, you can come down the other side until you get to the top of that mountain that you're looking for. And he had the whole audience just mesmerized. I mean, you could have heard a pin drop in that room. He was so powerful with his words. He was so strong. And he just spoke from the heart. And he would even pound on his chest like, it's your time. It's your time, And he had the whole room totally believing in themselves. And I can't say that he had any magical words that I hadn't heard from others. He just had that magical way of presenting it to us. And it was something that I'm sat there and I was watching this man, and I thought, there might be thousands of people in this room, but honest to God, he's talking just to me. He's not talking to anybody else. I'm the only one in the room at the moment. That's the way I felt. And when he was done, he was so humbling, and he was even in tears, because he knew that he had done an awesome job of telling us all how great we were, and how if we want to go after our dreams, damn it all, there's nothing that can stop us from getting there. Nothing. So he ended up on that note saying, it's your time, do it. And he walked off the stage, and I swear he had a standing ovation of at least 5 minutes. But when we sat down in our chairs again, I looked around, and I was included. I could not stop crying. I was crying like a baby. But guess what? There was grown men. There was other women in the room. They were crying too. I'm going to go on a limb and say that probably 70% of the room was in tears listening to him. That's how powerful he was. And even if you walked out of there and you didn't do anything else with your business, I guarantee you your whole life changed in that 2 hours that he talked. You took whatever he said and you were going to go home with it. To this day, I have not forgotten that man. I have seen numerous people on stage and talk. And I can remember little tidbits about things after the fact. But for him, I see him. I see the steps he made. I see the motions he made. I can tell you what was on his shirt that day. It was unbelievable. And there I was crying my eyes out. And you know what occurred to me? That your breakdown is often your breakthrough. And that's what I experienced that day. I have never looked back. I have never looked back. That event changed my whole life. I came home with more drive in me than I had had since I joined. And I honestly can't tell you what it was that just sealed the deal. I just know that if I hadn't have been there, I wouldn't have had that. And I've never lost it. I just haven't. So my That's my breakthrough. And I hope somebody out there can relate to it too. I hope you've experienced, whether it's been Dave Sharp or somebody else. Gosh, I hope you've experienced it. But if you haven't, then you can't afford to miss Nashville, because this could be the one that just changes your whole life, your personal life, your business life, your spiritual life. It can change it all. So that's how I'm going to end it, because these girls have a lot more to talk about, and I just want you to know that it's just amazing. You don't want to miss these things. So I'm going to turn it over to Morgan now, and she's going to take us away on what she can add to how she feels about events. Okay?
I've got goosebumps, Nishi. that I have like tears in my eyes, seriously, because I can completely relate to you know, the whole crying thing when you're at an event, because I was an absolute crybaby at the last event, and I'll talk a little bit about that. But you know, that was awesome. I really appreciate what you just said. So where am I going to start? I was a complete event skeptic. I live in New Zealand. And the company that we are with is American-based. So similar to Erica, she, you know, when she started, she lived in New Zealand as well, and I think she's got a similar story. But basically, it didn't even enter my mind to go to the event. Okay, so I've been in this business for over a year, and if I'm being completely honest, I never ever thought I would go to an event. And you guys are going to laugh and think I'm crazy, but I just thought that, you know, I'd live my life in New Zealand, I'd be part of this business, and I would just, you know, go along, and I would make it work, and it would be awesome, and I wouldn't need to go to the event because it would cost, you know, $5,000 to get to the event, and blah blah blah. And I'm sure there's lots of other people, you know, out there, especially in New Zealand and Australia, who are working a business, either this business or a business similar, who are perhaps in the same situation, and they're thinking, you know, I don't need to get to the event. I don't want to say special, but I've got the skills to make this work without the event. And that is exactly how I thought. And, you know, maybe it was a bit cocky. I'd never had any internet marketing experience, but I thought that I could make it work without going to the event. The long and the short of it is, it wasn't working. Okay, so about, when was the last event? January. About, when was it, December or November? I said to myself, I was like, you know, I've been doing this for a while now. Is this going to work, or am I just wasting my time? I thought to myself, and Erica said something to me, and I can't really explain what it was, but I made a decision to get to that event, and I couldn't afford to go, but I just made it happen. And that event, you know, it's only been 3 months since that last event, but seriously, my entire business has changed. My entire, you know, being has changed. The way that I approach my business on a daily basis, the way that I communicate the confidence I've got, you know, within my business has completely changed. And it sounds really cliche, you know, get to an event, you know, everyone goes on and on about it, and I was exactly the same. I thought it was a cliche saying people wanted you to get to the event so that you would get inspired and upgrade or something. I had some kind of idea about it, but it's completely false. Nobody wants to get you to an event to make you upgrade. There's no selling that happens at the event. There's absolutely no selling. Everybody in that room is pretty much all into the business anyway, and they go there for, you know, inspiration, tactical trainings, to you know, communicate with like-minded people, meet up with, you know, people that they've met on the internet, people in their teams, you know, mastermind ideas, you know, form hangouts. You know, there's so many things that you get from going to an event. And until I went to the Las Vegas event in January, I just had no idea. I was working on my business every day, but not to the extent that it would have ever really skyrocketed. And now that I'm doing what I need to do now, you know, I'm getting leads and I'm getting people following me. I'm getting traction in my business in a big way. And if I hadn't been to that event, there is no way, and I can say that confidently 100%, there is no way that I would be where I am now 3 months later, because you don't know what you don't know, and you just continue to go on. You can't actually make a change until something changes. And it's just, I'm so grateful that I just took that chance, and I'm going to the Nashville event in 2 weeks, because I can never miss another event. Because for me to spend that money, $4,000 or however much it is, I feel like if I don't spend that money and I don't go, I'm going to be spending money in another way, in an incorrect way in my business, because I'm not going to have the skills, the tactical training they teach, the inspiration, everything they teach. I'm not going to have that knowledge that they would have taught at the last event, and then I'll be spending money on advertising or spending money in my business, not getting the results. And I could have just spent the money flying all the way over to America, which is a long way. But it's so worth it. So that's just a little bit about me, bit of confession, and it's kind of, I wouldn't say embarrassing, but if I could change, if I could look back now and change what I've done over the past year, it is hard to sort of say how you would change things, because when I first joined the business I was working full time, so it was difficult for me to get to an event as well. But if I could change something, I would have got to an event as soon as possible, a lot sooner than I had. And I think that would have made me possibly go in a different direction, and I think I would be in a different position than I am now. But there's no point having regrets if you haven't been to an event and you've been doing this for a while, chugging along. My biggest advice to you would be, if you think you can't afford to go, which is 99% of people, you have to think you can't afford not to go, because if you don't get to this event, in 6 months' time, you're still going to be where you are, and you would have spent X amount per month maintaining your business with no results, and you would have spent $4,000 in 6 months, or however long it is. I can't say a time frame. But if you spend and this is only from New Zealand, don't forget, if you already live in America, it's only going to cost you $1,000 or even maybe less. And I'm only talking about the flights and the travel. I'm not talking about the tickets, because that's next to nothing. So just think about it that way. If you don't get to an event now and you think, oh, in 6 months I'll be in a different position, it's not going to happen, okay? This might sound harsh, but from my own experiences, you need to shell out the money now to get to the event, to learn the inspiration and the tactics, so that in 6 months' time you are making $10,000 a month, or whatever your goals are. Okay, so I've just got one more little thing I wanted to say, and it's motivation versus commitment. Okay, so you have to be motivated to take daily action, right? Everybody has to be motivated, and it's not that hard to get motivation. You can get it from a YouTube Tony Robbins video. You can get it from watching this hangout. You can get it from reading an inspiring post on Facebook. Motivation isn't so much the problem. The problem is commitment. Motivation only lasts a short amount of time. You've got to keep motivating yourself, and that's why we listen to audios and we listen to, we read books and things like that, because you've got to keep working on your motivation. If you do that, you're going to be okay. But the second part comes with the commitment. If you don't have the commitment to work when you're unmotivated, that is when you go downhill. And that's where events come in, because events will motivate you, yes, for a short amount of time. And actually for me, it's lasted this entire 3 months. I've been very, very motivated. But if the motivation only lasts for a short time, that's fine. But the commitment, when you go to an event, your belief goes up. You meet people, you spend money getting there, so you have so much pressure on you to succeed, which is what you need, and your commitment to the business just skyrockets, because you don't have any other choice. You've invested financially, you've invested your time, people know you've gone over to America, and they're wondering what you're doing, and you have to succeed, because it's kind of like, you've got external pressure, which I think is a good thing, because it really does skyrocket your commitment to your business. So motivation you can get daily, commitment not so much, and you need to get to the event to get that deeper level of commitment, so that on one day when you're feeling sick and unmotivated, your commitment's still there to make you send that email, to make you place that Facebook ad, to make you do that blog post. And I don't think you can get commitment if you don't go to the event. For me personally, it might be different for other people, but for me, I had to get to that event, and that gave me my commitment. So I'm going to leave that there. Yeah, that's it, Nettie.
I love that commitment and motivation. Very, very good analogy. And it's always good. Like, I always think the ones that comes from so far away, God bless them, because I know it is a sacrifice. I know you said that you would have spent the money on the business in some other ways, but a lot of them that come might have spent that money on their mortgage or their family in some way, shape, or form. So I understand that it is a sacrifice, and we really do have to encourage Empower Network to have events on every side of the world out there. I think that would be an awesome. Yeah.
Absolutely.
But, yeah, thanks for your input. We always get something out of what you say, Miss M. So, and now we move on to Miss Kristen. And hopefully she's not coming to us from snowy New York, but actually spring-looking New York. Things are looking.
It's been a beautiful day. We finally hit above 70 today. But I'm exhausted. I think I'm in vitamin D overload. My body forgot what the sun felt like. I didn't know that was even possible, to actually forget what the sun is like. But living in Syracuse, New York, I think it's the top third in the country of the least sunniest days. So needless to say, it feels good. So I'm happy. But I'm even more excited to see that in a few weeks I'll be even warmer out. I think we'll be in the 80s when we're in Nashville, which is even more exciting. But events. I've been thinking all day about, like, what do events mean to me? And, I started going to events, probably over 3 years ago, in different companies, and that's one thing I do want to touch on. If you're not in our company, and if you're not going to Nashville because you're not even a part of our team, number one, you want to be a part of our team, first off, because we're just awesome. And the second reason is that I do want to point out is no matter what company you're in, events are crucial to building any type of business. Being around like-minded people, and the thing I think I want to talk about the most tonight is about energy and the energy at events. And it's not being, the hype or the motivation. It's the energy of the people around you. And I will tell you, I'll be completely honest in that the problem I had with the first events that I ever went to is I surrounded myself with the wrong type of energy. I surrounded myself with the wrong people at the events, and that impacted what I allowed myself to actually take home. And I remember this last event in January in Vegas. I completely separated myself from old energy, and I made sure to surround myself with completely new people, including the people on this panel. I got to meet Morgan for the first time, and I think it had been a few events since I had seen Erica, and I got to room with Zen, and so it was just a complete different energy. And it's that energy that carries you through the next 90 days. Because when you're working online and you're working from home, it's so easy to feel alone. It's so easy to get stuck in this bubble of thinking, oh, I'm the only one struggling. I'm the only one having bad days. And then you see all these leaders out there and people getting on the leaderboard, and you almost make up stories in your head that they're not human, that they're just somebody out there in the world, somebody out there on the computer, and they don't go through the same struggles as me. They're not even probably real. They don't exist. Like, you play these games in your head, whether or not you know it. And so when you go to the events and you get to meet people in person, you actually get to shake their hands and give them a hug, and you get to see them, all of a sudden it makes everything you're doing so much more real. Your dreams become reality, and everything just comes alive. And so that, to me, is the most important part of events, is just the energy that you're surrounded by. And I can probably attest to the fact that majority of us, we are surrounded by people on a daily basis who don't necessarily have the same goals, have the same dreams as we do. I know I don't. I know that I'm surrounded by some very negative family. There's a lot of great family. Thankfully, I do have family who's in the same company I'm in, and so it helps. But I also have friends who aren't, and friends who don't understand, and you're surrounded by this negativity. And when you go to an event, all of that goes away, and there is no negativity. It's just complete positive energy of like-minded people, people who are going after the same dreams, the same goals as you are. And all of a sudden you start realizing what's possible, because everything, again, is real. When you just watch a video, when you just see things on the computer, it doesn't always feel feasible. But when you actually see the people walking around telling the same stories and sharing the same outcomes, all of a sudden, anything is possible. And so that, and then the other thing that events do for me, I know, is accountability. It's 90 days of accountability. So every 90 days we have an event. And to me, every 90 days, it's a time to check in and say, okay, how much farther have I gotten along since the last event? And even if you don't quite make it to where you want it to be, that's okay, because you're still there. You're still showing up. And that's what truly matters, is just continuing to show up, continuing to be there. And so for me, the events are about accountability. It's about actually just showing up and showing your face, even if it means that you might be like, oh man, I didn't get the people I wanted to get this last 90 days. I'm not quite where I want to be. And I know from past experience, when you feel that way, that's when you want to skip the event, because you're almost kind of ashamed that you didn't work harder in the last 90 days. So you think, oh man, you know what? I'm just going to skip this event, and then I'll work really hard the next 90 days, and then I'll go when I'm a little bit farther along. And like Morgan touched on, that's not the attitude. If that's where you're at, that means that you need to be at the event. Because if you're feeling like you're stuck in your business or that you need to work harder, I promise you that you won't unless you go to the event. Another 90 days will pass, and you'll find yourself in the same exact spot. So I could go on. I mean, there's just so many stories. I know the last event for me, Vegas, out of 3 years of events, was the most impactful for me. And here's the other thing. Okay, I've been going to events for a while now, and if I had decided not to go to Vegas because I already had been to all the other ones, well, I wouldn't have had the breakthrough that I had there. And that's the most important part, is you never know when your breakthrough is going to come. It could be at the last event, but now here's the thing. I had a breakthrough at Vegas, but I also know I've set myself up for an even bigger breakthrough in Nashville. So it's not that once you have your one little breakthrough that you can't have any more. You've set yourself up to constantly grow and achieve more and more and more. So I know I want to not take up too much time tonight, because I could just ramble on and on about events, because they're just so crucial to any business that you're trying to grow, because it's all about the energy, and it's about the accountability. And so I'm going to leave it at that and just pass it back over to Nettie.
Okay. Thank you, dear. And thank you for sharing how you felt about events, because you added another side to it, how it took you a while to actually get something out of an event, because you knew what you were doing. You had a lot of negative energy around you, and that's a blessing that you were finally able to get rid of that. And there's a lot of people out there like you, like they come to the events and they go home thinking, it's that. What did I get out of that? And it's because you have to be around like-minded people. You have to get away from people that are dragging you down. So good on you. Good on you. That was great. Thank you for sharing that. And Zen, we are going to head to you now. I want to give kudos to Zen, because she actually wrote this swipe for the event this week. Bless her heart. That was really nice. I took this week off, and you did a wonderful job. So thank you very, very, very much.
And, you're so welcome.
And take it away, because we'd love to hear what you have to say about events.
Yeah, I was going to take a little bit different tack and tell everybody about my very first event ever, okay? Because years ago, and I'm just going to give you the brief life story. I'm going to start at 28. I took a year off to be a ski bum, and I ran a nightclub up in Mammoth Lakes, California. This was a big departure, because I had spent a lot of time building up my hairstyling clientele, and I just ditched it all because I got an offer I couldn't refuse. So I did that. When I came back, I was a little bit at loose ends. I grabbed a bartending job a couple of nights a week. I had my apartment back because I had sublet it. But I was really struggling with, do I want to build clientele for hairstyling again? I saw that there was no residual income. Every time I took a day off, I wasn't making money, and I thought, what could I do different? And then a friend called me out of the clear blue sky, and we all know how energy works, so it wasn't out of the clear blue sky. Something I threw out there made him call me. And he told me about a sales job and how he was making $4 to $5 grand a month doing not much. And I went, wow, cool. Can you set me up with a conversation? And he said, I already have. So I called his boss, and I went and talked to him. And I said I was willing to work for commission only for 1 month. And if he saw my work ethic, would he give me draw against commission? And he said, yes. Okay, so let's flash forward. Now I'm on my 3rd week of cold calling out of a phone book and losing my goal, my why, my vision, everything. I was crashing. And he saw it, but he also saw how hard I was working. So he dropped a ticket on my desk, and it was a ticket to an event. And the speaker lineup, I can't even give you the names. I mean, there were big people there. And it was my first event like that. And so I showed up, and the energy was amazing. And the room was filled with like-minded people. We want to redefine our goals, get deeper into our why we're doing what we're doing, and figure out how to get the money. I'm not afraid to say it. I want the money too. I want to help people, and I want to make money for it. So I sat there and I listened to these people talking, and it really did deepen everything for me. I figured out how many no's it took to get to a yes. I figured out how to make every moment matter and stay in a good state of mind, even when I wasn't getting where I wanted to be fast. And I had, a great breakthrough there, in terms of that. And one of them was that I was researching events. I came back and I thought, what was it about that? Because I am pumped, and I'm telling you, I kicked butt after that. And it's every 90 days we do need a re-up. We need a re-jumpstart, which is something that Kristen mentioned, that every 90 days you kind of need a new charge. You need a new setup so that you get, because it's not just one breakthrough. We get a new one every time we go. And so, while working alone is great, and I really truly enjoy it, because I either work at home or I go to a cafe, and I'm very friendly. I always end up talking to somebody. I end up getting my blog posts done. I get my emails done. I have fun. I enjoy my life. But the funny thing was one of the breakthroughs from this event. It was really funny because I heard this speaker, and he said something like, I don't care if you're ugly. There's ugly people in the world. Get your mug on a video. I don't care if if you stutter. There are other stutterers in the world that actually really need to hear from you so that they can step up and do that. And recently, one of our team members, Helen, has been making videos saying, just get on video. Get over yourself. So the funny thing is that I don't mind being on video. It's really interesting. Now when I make videos, I pretend like I'm talking to this panel right here and all of you out there that are listening to us, because it keeps me smiling and happy while I'm making my videos. Because sometimes I was feeling, I don't know, kind of funny being out with my iPhone filming in public. I just felt funny. But that was a big breakthrough for me, because I thought, well, there's, I'm not shy, but I don't really want to do videos. I don't know what was so adverse to me. Now I send them out in emails. I haven't yet posted them on Facebook yet, but I'm getting there. But the funny thing is that, while all this is going on, I thought, you never take yourself all that seriously. And I actually wrote a blog post about not comparing yourself to others and having a sense of humor. And I thought, well, go ahead and have a sense of humor and release all those really bad videos to the public. So I've been opening them one by one to the public. And a friend of mine who was out of town, I said, I just kind of missed your face, so I knew you had a YouTube channel. And I popped on one of your videos, and it was really motivational. And he said, you should do more. That was really good. And I went, wow, okay, so that breakthrough actually worked for me. So you see, you're going to be seeing more of my mug on videos, and I'm going to be releasing them more and more on Facebook and other places, because some of the leaders that I actually follow and really respect, the reason why I got to know them, follow them, and really respect them is because I got to know, like, and trust who they were by watching them in video. So, all I can say is whoever sent you here to watch this Tilt Hangout, and if it was from me, from somebody on my list, then, get in, get involved, and get to the event. There's still time. It's not until April 23rd, which I think is next Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And I'm very excited because I have a VIP ticket this time too. So I'm just stoking, and I can't wait to get there because events are so crucial. they really do help you redefine what is your goal, and it helps deepen your why. Why am I here? Why am I doing this? Why am I in front of my computer? Why am I out videotaping? Why am I doing what I'm doing? And really, I want to help others change their lives, and in that process, it helps me change mine. And recently I was traveling with my girl, and it felt so good. And I shot out my video from Hong Kong at the top of Victoria Peak to my list today, and it just made me feel happy. I want to help other people get that kind of freedom also. And so I think I'm going to wrap right there, because I'm very excited to get to Nashville, and there's still time to get a ticket. So get yourself a ticket, figure out a way to get there, and believe me, there are people that you can room with, people that you can ride in with. There are cheap flights at the last minute. Go to, if you need the special pricing, hit me up on Facebook, PM me, because I know a couple, 2 or 3 sites where you can get flights at the last minute, cheap-o. So no excuses, get to the event. And that's it, Nettie. I think I'm going to wrap it right there. Thanks so much.
That was awesome. Thank you very much. And yeah, on the note about the cheap flights, also, usually approximately about this time, there are some people that have had something come up in their world that they just cannot make it to the event for whatever reason, and the tickets that they are holding are typically pretty cheap too. So if you're out there and you're thinking, man, I'm going to make the jump, I'm going to leap, I'm going to get in, and I want to go to this event, then by all means, click on the Get Started button tonight, or get back to the person who invited you, and we can all help you get arrangements to be taken to Nashville and enjoy this event. And I'm going to tell you, you'll walk out of there with, King Kong attitude. You're just going to defeat everything. So do it. Just do it. But for now, Miss Erica, can we please hear what you have to say about getting to events?
Well, good evening, everyone, and nice to be here. It's just amazing to hear all your stories, because I see the growth in each and every one of you from every event that you've been to. So for me, I'm just like one proud mum of it, sitting here watching and listening to you. So I'm going to tell a story, and if you've heard it before, please do forgive me, but I know that there are some people watching this who have not heard this story, and it's about how hard and determined I was to not get to my first event. So if you've heard it, forgive me, but I do hope, if you've heard it, you'll find some pros in the story, because it is really, really powerful. It changed my life. I joined the company right back in the beginning, and it's funny that Morgan mentioned this. I was one of those people who thought I was smart enough that I could build this business on my own from my computer way down in New Zealand. I didn't need the community. I didn't need to see the leaders. I could see them on, my video screen. I didn't need to be there, right? I was smart enough. I could do it by myself. And about March, April of 2012, they started talking about this event they were going to be having in Atlanta. And, I'm from New Zealand, so as Morgan mentioned, we have to catch quite a few planes to get to the States. It's a long way. We've got to travel about 4 different, time zones or something. And it's a big effort, not to mention it is a lot of money, right? And as soon as they started talking about the events, I was just shut off. I shut down. I'm like, that's not me. I'm not going. I don't need to go there, and I don't want to go to the rah-rah. I don't need all that noise, because I'm not a rah-rah kind of person, And April came around, and they're still talking about this event. And I'm like, I ain't going. I didn't even hear the dates. That's how bad I was not going. May came around, and they started getting really heavy on this event promotion. And if you know our leader, he has, a very favorite expression, don't be a wussy, right? And so he started building this into his repertoire about getting people to events. So not only am I determined not to go, now he's calling me names, and I'm even madder. I'm even more determined. I am not going. He's making me go. He's making me angry. Now he's calling me a wussy. I ain't going. It's like, screw you. And the more he pushed, the more I dug my toes in. And if you are new to our community, you may not know this, but in May of 2012, our marriage was failing. We had quit our jobs. We had gone home to New Zealand to build this business, well, a home-based business, anything, so we didn't have to get regular jobs. And by May, things weren't looking good, you know. And if you guys know the weather in New Zealand in May, it's cold and it was wet and dark and miserable, and I was having the worst time of my life. My husband had actually, you know, gone overseas back to his home country, and I didn't know how things were going to turn out. And we moved into June, and I knew that the event was sometime in June. But this is how determined I was not going to go. I refused to even learn the date. I refused to learn the date. I did not want to learn what the date was, right? And come June, I was just at my wit's end. And I remember I opened my email, and a guy sent an email saying that he never wanted to go to his first event. He was from Perth, Australia, and he didn't want to go because it was so far. All the same excuses that I was using. And he decided to go, and he said, that event changed my life. I went on to make X amount of money. I think he's made like $25 million now or something. And I'm like, what? Because you went to an event. And I read the email, and it got me a little bit angry that A, that event changed his life, and B, that I was being a wussy and not going. And then the next day, I got another email from another guy who was actually in our community. And he said he was so broke that he couldn't even afford to go to the event. They had to borrow money from his mom and dad. And when he got to the event, he was so broke that he had to buy like salads, you know, from the you know, deli or whatever down the road. But he couldn't put it in the fridge because it was one of those weighted fridges. If you put something in and pulled something out, then it automatically calculated the weight reduction, so he would be charged for something. So he had to eat this warm salad all day long. He couldn't even open his fridge. And he said, but that event changed my life. And now I'm feeling sick. Remember, I didn't know the exact date of my event, but somehow I convinced myself that it had already been. So now I'm calling myself a wussy. I'm calling myself a loser. I'm like, what have I done? I had this one chance to change my life. I had this one chance to turn everything around. And I missed it. And I was so angry at myself. And I'll never forget it. I looked at the calendar, and this is how I was not to go. I hadn't even written it on the calendar, and I looked at the calendar, and there's nothing on the calendar. I'm like, when is that bloody event? Maybe I haven't missed it. So I went into my back office. I opened up my thing, and I looked at the date, and then I looked at my computer date, and I looked at the date, and it's next week. I haven't missed it. I couldn't believe I had not missed it. I swear to you, I grabbed my wallet, grabbed my credit card, I bought my event ticket, I went straight onto kayak.com, I bought my flights, booked my hotel accommodation, and I think it was like 2 or 3 days later, I was gone. My breakthrough happened the minute I bought my event ticket. My breakthrough happened the minute I made a decision to go. And I remember, and Morgan touched on this, something changed in me because I made a decision to go. I remember I went down to the beach, Marine Parade, if you guys know it, Napier, New Zealand, beautiful beach. I went down to the beach, and there was something in me. I was burning with something, and I cut this video. I remember this is the first event that, you know, Empower's ever had, right? And I cut this video, and I told everyone, I looked them right in the eye, you know, that little green dot that you're supposed to look at when you're recording yourself, and I said, I'm going to Atlanta. I'm going to get the secrets to build this business. And if you're thinking of joining anyone, you make sure, and I held up my ticket, you make sure they've got this, and I held up my passport, and that they're going to this event. Because if they're not going, you don't want to be joining them. You want to be joining a leader. And I heard this from Dave Wood. He says, not everyone gets to events, but leaders do. And I'm like, I'm a leader. How can I even call myself a leader or think to be a leader if I'm not getting to an event? The first one. How many people can ever say they went to the first event? And I was so fired up. You know what happened? I don't know what happened with that video. I really don't know, because at that point I still didn't really understand, you know, where I was supposed to be putting it and everything. But I jumped on the plane in Auckland. By the time I got to Sydney, I logged into the Wi-Fi, and I had 4 team members sign up. And I'm like, what? Wow. That's pretty cool. Next stop, LA. I hopped onto a Wi-Fi. Notifications. More team members. What? By the time I got to Atlanta and I plugged into a Wi-Fi, I had 17 new team members from cutting that video. I don't know why they joined. All I know is they saw that video. I couldn't get 17 team members to save my life before I cut that video. We had team members joining, yes, but not 17 in the space of, what, 3, 4, 5 days? My breakthrough happened before I got to the event. And here's the thing. You never know when that breakthrough is going to happen. The biggest breakthrough for me was at the event. I changed some more. And Morgan touched on this. I got conviction. There is a difference how you speak about your business when you haven't been to an event and how you speak about it when you have. You change. The words that come out of your mouth change. The way you talk about your company changes. The way you talk about your products changes. The way you talk about your vision changes. You change. You have a different message. And people feel that. They feel your conviction. They know that you're serious. They know that you're a leader because you went to that event. And you sound like a leader. Why? Because you're surrounding yourself with leaders. And it rubs off. You know, someone was talking about the energy. Kristen was talking about the energy. It rubs off. You only need to hear one sentence that will change your life. One sentence. It may be on stage. It may be in the corridor. It may be in the foyer on the last night of the event, just before you're going back to your room to fly home. That's when I had my breakthrough in Atlanta. It sounds so silly. I was in the foyer, about to go home, to my room, sorry, to pack to go home the next day. And Lawrence Tam was standing in the foyer with Alex Zubrev, Shakir Hussain, and some other people I can't quite remember now. And I was kind of walking by, I was still kind of a little bit of shy Kiwi girl. And he pulled me over because I'd actually, finally got the courage to introduce myself that afternoon. He goes, Erica, come over here, meet these guys. And that's how I met Alex Z, and that's how I met Shakir Hussain, who I count as some of my best friends now. LT said, Erica, go home, cut videos. That's all he said to me. Not earth-shattering, really. I went home and I cut a video every single day. 4 months later, had my first 5-figure month. Income disclaimer, results vary. Would I have cut a video every single day if Lawrence Tam, $1 million earner in our company, hadn't told me to do it? Probably not. But he told me to, so I did. Not earth-shattering, is it? But it was my breakthrough. And I want to share with you quickly before I hand it back to Nadine my second breakthrough. At the second event, and this is just how ridiculous it is, at the second event, I still had a belief issue that only Americans could build this company. I'm a Kiwi. I have a funny accent. I don't sound like those guys. Who's going to join me, right? I had a belief issue that only Americans could build this business. And we'd made it into the top 200 meeting, and Dave Wood started talking about this girl from Ireland who was killing it. All I heard was Ireland. I'm like, so what? Ireland? A girl from Ireland's killing it? You know who I'm talking about, right? Niamh Arthur. And she was pulled up on stage, and Dave Wood asked her, how did you do it? And she goes, well, it's simple. I just listened to the 8 core commitments and did them. I remember looking at my husband. Oh, that's another breakthrough. I'll get back to that in a second. I remember looking like, that's all she did? She followed the 8 core commitments? Because we weren't. We were pretending we were, but we weren't. We went home and we followed the 8 core commitments. And our business went from where it was higher and higher and higher. Doesn't sound like much, does it? But when you hear that one thing that you need to hear, it changes everything. And the thing is, you don't even know what you need to hear. It may be something that you've heard 100 times, like with Morgan. I don't know how many times I told that girl to get to an event. And I remember sitting down on the couch with her in Vegas, and we had a good laugh about this. She goes, why don't you really tell me to get to an event? I mean, I laughed and I laughed and laughed. And I said, girlfriend, I can tell you till the cows come home to get to an event, but you have to decide. I can't quantify, I can't put into words what it means to get to an event. I can't. But when you get there, you get it. And that's when you come to me and go, oh my God, I can't believe I waited this long to get to an event. I can't put it into words. The women tonight have done an awesome job of putting into words, but I can't put it into words how your life will change when you make that decision to just go, to just drop all of your excuses and go. Now, biggest breakthrough before I hand it back to Nettie. When I got to Atlanta, I didn't know if I had a marriage. And I remember the day I was leaving, I rang him and I told him everything I'd seen. And there was something in me that was so passionate and so fired up with so much belief that we could do this. And I'll never forget the words. He just said, baby, I'm coming home. We can do this. If I had not got to that event, I don't know if I would have had the conviction to A, build the business, and B, get my husband home. Okay? You don't know what you don't know. You don't know. So if you're sitting on the fence about getting to an event, any event, I beg you, just go. Because you don't know. You just don't know. And on that note, my darlings, I'll hand it back. Thank you, sweethearts, for sharing tonight with us. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, E. That was really heartfelt, and God bless you for sharing and being so open with us about that. I have heard your story before, but I could hear it 100 times because every time I hear something a little bit different in it. And one of the things that I want to just capitalize on what you said tonight was you didn't think you could do it because you talked funny, that you were like a Kiwi. You talked like a Kiwi. And you know the story. I joined you because of your accent.
Exactly.
And, I saw a video on Facebook of Erica at an event in Chicago. I had never heard of Empower Network in my life, and the bizarre thing of it was, it wasn't Erica that posted the event because I didn't know her at the time. It was a friend of mine that was in another business, and he had gone to the event, and he posted this short video, and Tony Rush was interviewing the commission people on stage, which, by the way, is mind-blowing when you're at the event. You see all these people that have made money go on stage. That's another huge, huge motivational factor at the events. But he stopped, Tony Rush, and he stopped this beautiful little Kiwi lady with her handsome husband and said, here's Erica and Alex, and he said their last name, and just tell us how well you've done. And they had made something like $35,000 in 4 months or something like that. And he said, she's from New Zealand, and I instantly fell in love with her whole. I was like a moth to a flame. That's what I was like, And I replayed that video probably 10 times to catch what the heck her last name was, because I couldn't make it out what he was saying. But I did. I tracked her down. But there's just an example. You never know who is looking for you. Okay, and so you go to these events, you get publication of yourself because you take videos and you take pictures with other people. They hear you speak and they go, wow, I've been, maybe watching that person, or maybe they've never seen you before, but they're watching the person that you're talking to. And it can change your whole life. Like, here we are on a Hangout. Who would have thought when I saw that video of Erica a couple of years ago that this would be where we are right now? So you never assume that you can't do it, that people aren't going to like you because you talk funny or you look funny or you act funny or you... I'm all three of those, so it doesn't matter. But anyways, I'm just going to wrap it up, and I had to add that to it. So anyways, I really hope all of you out there that watch this tonight have got something out of it. I know I did. So please, if you're thinking about this, click the link below. We will help you get to Nashville. I know it's short notice, but we'll help you get there for next weekend. Get back to the person that invited you, and we can do the same thing. If you are in Empower Network, then I urge you to get to the event. If you've never been before, you don't know what you're missing. For those of you that have been before, you know what's going to happen, and it's going to be fantastic. So on that note, gang, we're going to say goodnight, and if I always add this, if you think you'd like to join our team, we'd love to have you. Click that link below, please, or get back to the person that invited you, because we'd love to have you on our team. Other than that, we'll see you again next week, Monday night, same place, same time, different topic. So take care, have an awesome week, and never give up on yourself, because we'll never give up on you. Take care. Bye now.